We've got a couple questions that we're going to answer within the recruiting profile. So the first question, it always is, what is a recruiting profile? And think of it like this. It's a resume, just like you would when you would go and you would apply for a job. It's a comprehensive resume that you have right in your hands, right here, right now, that if a coach was standing in front of you, you can hand it right over to them and they won't have any questions. And so with that said, also, like I said, it's everything about you athletically, academically, and personally. For example, it's going to have your bio on there, your height, weight, full name. It's going to have your contact information. It's going to have your highlights. It's going to have your coach's information, which is key too, because coaches obviously are in contact personally with those coaches. And also one tip to keep in mind is when a college coach truly, say they go and they go to your game, whether it's a basketball or football game or anything like that, and they see you and they get triggered and say, holy smokes, who's that guy? The first thing they're going to do is they're going to reach out to those high school coaches or your high school coach, right? And previous to that, also one little tidbit with that, coaches before the season, a lot of times, especially if they're newer to a programming like that, they like to do kind of what we call a coach's tour. And they'll go to every school and they'll divvy up responsibilities and they'll get all the contact information from the coaches. So you have that direct contact. Also, you want to add test scores, your GPA, your SAT, ACT, depending on where you're located. And that's really a key thing too, talking about your test scores and your academics. And then also, I also tell guys, definitely put in your achievements. Some of the things that you've done, whether it's all conference, all state, all league, all whatever it is where you're located. That's really important. Player of the week, 1,000 yards rushing, whatever your position is, just dial that in a little bit more. Do not go crazy on it. You don't need to. It's not going to matter. It kind of just triggers and makes that coach say, hold on a second, stops the coach in his tracks. The second question that I would say is, do you need a recruiting profile, right? This is a very important question. I know some kids, they get lazy and then it becomes too late. And they're like, coach, what do I need to do at this point? And to answer your question, yes. I don't let kids sit back. If they want my help and they want my guidance and mentorship, I don't let them sit back and just wait. You have to go out and get it. I understand the cliche is, as you've heard this 1,000 times, Coach Kelly, if you're good enough, they'll find you. Now, that may have been the case in the past, but now you have a situation where there's so many moving parts of the portal and all that kind of stuff. You have to weed yourself in and out of all the traffic, for lack of a better way of putting it. So it's your responsibility to communicate and go out and get noticed, because you never know what the situation may present itself. What are the benefits of having a recruiting profile? Well, the benefits are it's convenient. So if you have something right then and there, a coach can get it, go off, like Coach Cesar Rivas talked about in one of my most recent podcasts. He was saying, listen, I want it right there, whether it's an email or it's coming through social media. He wants it right then and there. He wants it convenient. He wants to make it easy, because what we've mentioned previous as well, there's so many guys that are recruiting. The databases, if a young student athlete could be a fly on the wall in what we call the war room, it's in the war room, what that is for coaches, you've got all the coaches in there. You're talking 7 to 12 coaches in there at one time. You're watching film and you're deciding who are your top 10 guys for each position. Okay, has he decided to commit somewhere? Did he not commit? Did he sign? Cross him off. There's so many different things that go on. And you want to make things as convenient as possible. And you never want to tell them no. And I don't want to go into that, but we've talked about that before. You want to make a good first impression, right? So that's a benefit of having that in front of them, because it can really, they may not have any clue who, the center for whatever high school, Todd Kelly, and then all of a sudden you send your information and they see it and then the highlights, boom, it's a good first impression. And that's really important. And then of course, like I said, the competition's high. There's a lot of kids out there. Things are shifting, portal, not portal, go back to high school, back to JUCO. Things are just changing on a regular basis. And one more time, we'll talk about what to include in a recruiting profile from my point of view. So what to include in a recruiting profile. You always want to have, like I said, you want to have your personal info. So your height, weight, position, like I said, contact info. You want to have your statistics, coach's info, and then highlights, and making sure that your highlights are dialed in. The first few plays need to just jump off the page. But also on top of that, before you get into the actual plays, you want to make sure that first scene or first clip that comes in is all your personal information. That's an easy way to really just say, okay, this guy, I got all his information. So you leave no stone unturned. And then also, last thing I would just say with this is, well, there's actually two things. I would say what to do with your recruiting profile. Obviously, make sure and send it to coaches through email. They still use emails. Emails are cool because they can actually keep it in database. And then social media. Making sure to dial in your social media. We've talked about this a bunch of times. Make sure your profiles are good to go. And then also pin your highlights on your timelines.
Absolutely.
And then last but not least, I would just say update it regularly. Hopefully you're early in this whole process. Hopefully you're a junior going into your senior. But even if you're late in the game, that you're making sure that you're updating it accordingly so that coaches kind of get an idea of what's going on. Because if a coach really wants you, they will follow you and they will follow everything that you're doing. And maybe they're lukewarm on you. And then all of a sudden you update it with some, 90-yard bomb or something big tackle, big interception. And you just never know. You can get them at the right time and bam, all of a sudden you get top of their list.
Absolutely. Now, those are some great things as far as a profile. And actually, as you saw, I was like taking down notes and whatnot about some things that I wanted to kind of point on. But basically, everything that you mentioned is great as far as what a profile should include. I just want to maybe add a couple things or elaborate on a couple things. You mentioned stats. Obviously, you want to put your stats. And the one thing you said that was great was don't go crazy with it. So meaning don't put any junior varsity stats. Don't put any summer league stats, don't put any travel stats. Put your stats from your high school varsity season. Your high school varsity statistics are the only stats that are relevant right there. Also, you should have an action photo in your profile. So either a headshot or now if you're a football player, probably have a photo without your helmet on. You know what I mean? If you're a basketball player, have it with your jersey on or whatever the sport it is you play. So have an action photo on there. And then you talk about contact information. So obviously you want to have your contact information, but also have your social media information, like your Twitter handle, your Instagram handle, and then have your parents' information, and then have your coach's contact information. Because every college coach that's recruiting you, they will reach out to your high school coach or your club coach, and they will ask them questions about you. They will ask, do this person show up on time? Do they have a good attitude? Are they a good teammate? Are they a winner? Are they coachable? Those are questions that they will ask. Also, you want to make sure that, like you said, film should be no more than about 2 minutes when you include it in your profile. Don't send an 8-minute film or anything like that. All right. Also, include a copy of your schedule as well. So if you know your schedule, if you're a football player, if you already know your 2024 season schedule, make sure that that's on your profile, or a link to that is in your profile as well, because you want coaches to be able to know when they can come see you play. So make sure you include that schedule. And then also, as far as academic info, you may want to have your ACT or SAT score, and then you want to have maybe your core GPA and your regular GPA. Because keep in mind, your core course GPA is what is going to be most relevant when it comes to Division I, Division II coaches being able to analyze if you're academically eligible. So have your core course GPA and maybe your regular GPA as well, just so that coaches have a clear picture of kind of who you are and what you are in terms of your academic profile. So everything you brought up was really, really good. And I think another thing as far as the profile is that, make sure that, everything on there is accurate. And the thing about the profile is it's a working document. Like you mentioned, you constantly need to update it.